We're talking about guts, gore, blood, and pure madness. These were the games that your parents wouldn't let you play as a young child, and let's be honest, if they bought them for you in the first place, it's safe to assume they're not going to be winning any Parent of the Year awards. For this video, we asked you, our viewers, to pitch in, and we received some very gruesome suggestions. We narrowed down that list to 10, so if you're into games that feature much savagery, this one's for you. Starting us off, we have a game that marketed itself as being a quad-wielding first-person shooter, but in this case you are not playing as Goro, you are actually the wielder of an ancient and ruthless force of chaos and destruction called the Darkness. There's no point in explaining what it is. What you want to know is that it consumes human hearts in order to evolve, and the player will have plenty of opportunities to slash, impale, shoot, and pretty much combo these moves in order to achieve maximum savagery and violence. And now we have a series that pretty much pioneered the first-person shooter genre. And back in 1993, Doom entered the stage with a pretty gory display. Even though there are only a few pixels of blood and guts on the screen, the developers managed to nail it so people would know right away that the game was truly savage. Today they managed to preserve that gore and even threw in some fancy glory kills to make the player want to kill even more. One of these moves even has the character pull a heart out of a monster's chest and shove it back down their throat. Now that's style. Sometimes I think that the only reason these games were created is so that they can get mentioned in lists like the one we're doing now. The mechanics that are in the Postal games speak for themselves. The sociopathic Postal dude walks around calmly without a care in the world until he unleashes one of the many weapons, if you can even call them that. They vary from cat's claws that claw faces off, bees, badgers, fart guns, you name it. Combine that with the lethal weapons in the game, you can pretty much tear any limb off and even play with it after. And don't think we forgot about the P. Yup, the iconic ability for the Postal games. You can pretty much pee whenever and wherever you want. Just take a look at the description from the game's manual. Welcome to Manhattan, a place filled with culture, financial districts, and a plagued mutant shapeshifter named Alex. At times, he can be seen fighting the military in order to uncover his own past, which he can't remember. But let's be honest, most of the times you'll be seeing him in sandbox mode, roaming Manhattan and kicking the shit out of all of its inhabitants or just consuming them into his own body. The game even wants you to kill people in brutal ways and absorb them, because that's the mechanic that heals the player and gives him biomass, so that Alex can become even more of a monster. So if you see him on the streets of Manhattan, there's no point in running. You're already dead. Now this game, released back in 2004, is a psychological horror game, but unlike other horror games that have jump scares and suspense scenes to get the player all scared, The Suffering bets on its incredibly strange and ugly supernatural creatures that have no mercy and try to kill people in the most savage ways possible. The violent beast in The Suffering can definitely give you nightmares, and the gore that is present in the cutscenes and in the various levels of the game is something that you will not soon forget. Here we have something very similar in gameplay to Prototype, meaning that it's a third-person action game where you roam the streets with your superhuman strength and you massacre anybody that gets in your way. The difference is that in this game you're actually a predator, and that is undoubtedly way cooler than that amnesiac punk Alex. You of course spend your time killing people that stole your technology here on Earth, skin them alive, and hang them from buildings while you scream with triumph. I guess the enemies in this game are not going to be as lucky as that little old lady with the broom from Predator 2. Epic Games sure knows how to develop their third-person shooters. Beginning with 2006, they released a savage bullet hell that focused on intense combat and various enemies that the player has to mow down using his arsenal. What sets this game apart is the masterful work the developers did with the animations, making the brutal takedown of enemies much more rewarding for the player. The color palettes that were used are very well designed, making sure you could see the gore no matter where you were, as it would often be distinct from the background. Not to mention, you'd have blood spat all over your camera. Oh, and let's not forget about the chainsaws. It seems Epic Games has a fetish for chainsaws. Okay, let's imagine you're a fan of the Punisher comic books and you just saw the film in 2004, only to find out that next year you could be the proud owner of the Punisher video game. Well, I know this happened like 10 years ago, but even then you probably knew what the game was going to be about. It's basically your superhero-esque kind of story of seeking justice, only this time you're not going to take it easy on the wrongdoers. After each interrogation, you might find yourself delivering the only true justice as you see fit: death. This game has tons of innovative ways to kill people, inspired by the comic book, of course. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the impressive imagination of Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. It is definitely time to test your might. And the might that these games have brought over the years has been filled with blood, guts, decapitation, cannibalism, babyality, you name it. Ever since the old school arcade machines back in 1992, kids have tried to trick their parents into giving them just one more coin so that they could play one of the most savage video games of all time. As the years have passed, the more impressive graphics of modern times did nothing more than to enhance the brutal nature of this game, with X-ray vision, HD blood, and more gruesome gore. And let's be honest now, why'd you try to learn all those complicated moves that created a fatality? There was no need for it. The opponent was already defeated. Well, the answer is, we did it for the violence. We always do it for the violence. At this point, we wanted to thank you for your suggestions. But before we get to our number one most savage game, let's view some honorable mentions. Cosmin, roll the mentions! There's something about this game. Maybe it's the color palette that enhances how the gore looks on the screen. Maybe it's the security cam view that makes the player feel like he's actually witnessing a real-life murder. The thing is, we're not the only ones that have noticed how savage this game really is. The New Zealand government even banned the first game. Australia refused classification, and the Amtsgericht in Munich, Germany confiscated all versions of it. Even Hillary Clinton as a senator spoke out to restrict Manhunt 2 to adults only. And we're not even going to talk about the UK controversy. That's too much for this video. I guess it's safe to say that if you're looking for one of the most savage video games of all time, you might want to try out Manhunt or Manhunt 2. At your own risk, of course. If you enjoyed our list of the top 10 most savage video games of all time, you felt our selection was pretty well researched, pretty respectable, please hit that like button for us, as we do appreciate it and it does help us immensely. If you have any comments or suggestions, any games we might have missed, please let us know in the comments below, as we do read pretty much everything. If you really enjoyed this video, you might want to think about subscribing to our channel, because we upload new videos all the time. So subscribing will keep you up to date with all of our latest stuff. For more gaming related content, you can visit fraghero.com. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day, guys. Appreciate it.